Alright, here we have Contra on 3D Sen, which is the 3D NES emulator. I've been doing a bunch of videos on a bunch of different games. Here you can see what this one looks like a little bit. Right out of the gate here, you can see the mountains. I see what the developer was going for, how he broke it up there a little bit. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of how that was broken up, just because it, I don't know, looks a little blocky and such. But if you look, kind of the cool highlights, at least so far here, is the bullet shadows are really nice, and then the shadows at the bottom there where the rocks meet the green areas. You can't see it right there, but it's in later spots. Also the water at the bottom there, you can see it kind of flowing underneath the rocks. That's a really cool effect. I wish there could have been something done a little bit more with these trees up at the top, but yeah, it's fine if that's not there. I have a feeling that there's probably a lot more going on here when what pops out and what doesn't pop out is decided. I have a feeling that there's a lot more going on there, and while, you know, I may be a little bit critical of, you know, this should be 3D or that shouldn't be, or that doesn't look great, I'm sure that what's being done is the best that could be done. I mean, it's amazing that this even works at all, right? So yeah, so talking a little bit, oh, what an awesome death I had there, just falling off the cliff. Talking a little bit about the history, my history of this particular game. I never owned this game. I've beaten it several times. I rented it as a kid, but I did have a buddy that owned this game, and he had funny household rules. Oh, this is kind of a cool little fight here, but the 3D effect not super strong here. You can see I have the screen tilted a decent amount. Now, I'm not seeing a whole lot coming from this big, I don't know, machine, I guess. Guns. But anyways, this buddy, he had a rule at his house that he was only allowed to own X amount of games, and then he couldn't get a new one until he beat one of his old ones. And he was having a really hard time with this game because, I mean, come on, you only get like 3 lives at this game. But I had a subscription to Nintendo Power, and when I went over to his house, I was like, hey, I know this game. The Konami code works on this game. And so we used it, and we got 30 lives apiece and played co-op through this entire game. And he was so excited because the fact that we beat the game, even though that's kind of cheesing it, right? That meant that he got to get a new game, which is pretty cool. So here we transferred over from the 2D side scroller into this kind of head-on tunnel-y view. And in this view, there's not a lot of 3D elements, at least not that I'm seeing. You know, the dev may disagree with me and may be able to point out different things, maybe some things that I missed. But I'm not seeing much. It kind of looks like just a 2-dimensional plane. When you get to the boss, there is a number of 3D elements there, that a lot that more pops out. Unfortunately, in this particular clip, once I get there, I line up the shot so it's more head-on. You can't really see it until after the boss is defeated. But once the boss does get defeated, I turn the camera, and you can kind of see how it works. It's not a very pronounced effect, and for that reason, it doesn't really show off too much. Overall, though, Contra, for the games that I've played so far, which I've probably played about half of them at this point, Contra kind of falls somewhere in the middle. You know, the 3D effects are not quite as overworked as, like, say, Super Mario Bros. 1. It's really pronounced, and what was another one? Castlevania. It was quite well done with, like, different curtains and stuff kind of moving around. This one, at least from what I've played of the game, it's a little more scaled back. Now, this is the boss right here that I was talking about earlier. Some of these, the little platforms and stuff that are on this machine in front of me, they're actually protruding out, but you can't see it unless, and see, I just turned it a little bit. You have to turn it to quite an extreme angle to really get that 3D effect. And for this particular fight, it's not reasonable to do that. It'd put the player at a significant disadvantage to be able to even see that effect. So there you go. Now you can kind of see it because I'm moving it around a little bit. Kind of cool when he goes up the elevator, he's up front. So this level I wanted to share as well real quick, just because the little explosions are very, very cool. I really like those explosions, but also the snow is in front of everything else, and that kind of shows as well. Does it have it even has a little shadow of its own. Anyways, that's all I got for Contra. So like this video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and until next time, this has been Pixel Freak.